Premier League gets started on Friday Night Live, and who else but the Premier League champions to get it all started? Liverpool play Bournemouth in a match that gives us an opportunity to get right back at the top of the tree where we belong. Now, this match also gives us an opportunity to have a closer look at three things. Number one, going into this match, I in particular will be focusing on the defensive problems that have been plaguing us throughout the rest of the preseason. Now, this is a problem that I think eventually will need to be sorted by getting some signings and bedding them in, but I don't think that will be the immediate solution. I think number one, most of the problem was caused by an openness in the midfield. Now, Liverpool throughout the whole of the entire last season, where we won the Premier League, being the best defense in the Premier League, we played with two holding midfielders in Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister, while both of them interchanged in opportunities to go forward. Primarily, both of them focused most of their energy in plugging the holes in defense. Another problem that we have might be that we're still getting a new understanding between our centre backs and our full backs on when to cover those spaces in between them. In particular, on the side of Kerkez in this previous match, we saw that the gap between him and Van Dijk were particularly big at some points, and we know on the right, Jeremy Frimpong will get forward as much as he can, but I don't think that's going to cause too much of a problem once we get that understanding, because we know his pace and recovery is particularly good. But I think also that right side is naturally mostly covered because the players in midfield are used to covering for Trent Alexander-Arnold in the previous season, so I don't think there will be a particular problem. I think we need to have a closer look at whether Van Dijk just needs match fitness and get ready to being the best Van Dijk that we know, or whether maybe we're losing something in some of his qualities. And I don't think that will be the case, because most of Virgil van Dijk's defending has never been particularly based on pace. It's been based on reading the play, reading what the attacker wants to do, and driving them into positions that are less threatening for Liverpool, where if they get their shot away or get passes out, they're not the most dangerous shots or passes. He also has this knack of shuffling our defense into positions where they can get those tackles in without necessarily causing fouls that would be very dangerous set plays. And we know that he's very good at 1v1 defending. I don't think we have a particular problem in the loss of quality in Virgil van Dijk, even though bringing in some competition I think will help both Van Dijk and Konate boost up their game a little bit. But I think once we get some match fitness into our defense and proper competitive matches I'm speaking about, we'll get a better understanding between them and the fullbacks. But I think most of this problem will be solved by bringing in a Gravenberch, who's not available for this game, by the way, or an Alexis McAllister to play alongside Szoboszlai in that midfield position. I think in future we'll see more of Gravenberch and McAllister playing together with Wirtz or Szoboszlai playing in another position, but that's discussion for the midfield. But I think in this particular game we'll see Alexis McAllister come in as that natural holder, and we'll see him plugging those positions between the centre backs and the full backs when it is necessary. While Szoboszlai is very good in terms of endeavour and running box to box, I don't think his defensive understanding is quite at the level of a McAllister or a Gravenberch. I think he is very good at pressing, but it's a very different thing to defend as a press and to defend when you're being attacked against. So those are very different positions to defend. So I don't think he's particularly a problem, but I think getting somebody who has understanding of plugging those holes to play in that midfield will help our defense as well. Now, speaking about Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister, the second thing that I think we need to have a closer look at is the balance of the midfield, because in this game, and I think in the next game as well, we will not have Gravenberch because of a suspension carried over from the previous season. So we need to have a closer look at how Szoboszlai is adapting at that number 8 role, but also trying to cover so that we don't lose as much of what we would have when Gravenberch would be playing alongside an Alexis McAllister. And I think for Szoboszlai, who we've been speaking about a lot in this preseason, it's a good opportunity, I guess, in these two games to prove that he can develop that understanding of when to go and when to sit back and just plug those holes and just be a midfielder, not obsess too much about going forward, because I think what we have in attack is quite heavy. Everybody knows that we're very good looking, especially going forward. I think the third thing that we need to look at is our attack. Even though our attack is exciting, our attack is amazing, I think in the preseason we've seen a Mohamed Salah who is transitioning, a Mohamed Salah who's not as prolific as he was in the previous season. And this is not me saying that there's a decline in what Mohamed Salah can provide for Liverpool. I think at the times where he scored, we've seen that his finishing might even be maturing. I think his assists and his passes are even better. What he lacks in terms of pace, he compensates for by positioning himself higher up in the pitch so that he doesn't have to cover as much ground as he would be if he was tracking back as often as possible. But what I mean in terms of I need to have a closer look at Mohamed Salah is because I feel like ever since we got the new signings, he's sacrificed some of his game to provide for the new attacking players. We've seen Mohamed Salah get in positions where he could be shooting and scoring, where he usually shoots and scores when he's the main man, but I think he's trying to offload and welcome the new attackers by trying to force passes that are not on sometimes when he's in positions where we usually see him shooting. And there have been quite a few opportunities where Florian Wirtz has played him in, and instead of shooting, he's trying to pass it back to Wirtz to maybe get him in a position to score. So I think Mohamed Salah needs to obsess less about bedding everybody else in. I think everybody is quite bedded in terms of our attackers. We've seen what Ekitike can do in the few minutes that we've seen him play. We've seen what Florian Wirtz can do, even though I think we've had a bit of a muted Florian Wirtz. We haven't seen him rise up to his peak yet.